has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. Carver, hi. I did say I'm betting above the rim with Coach yesterday before the game. I said we were on from 1 to 3. The game was at 3:30. I said the Pacers are the better matchup for the Celtics. They're healthy. They're deep. Mm-hmm. They have a rotation. They don't have any injury problems at all. And the Knicks are an absolute hospital unit. You cannot win when you have a bunch of backups playing in a Game 7, a Game 6, a Game 5. I am telling you, they were doomed. And the fact that they tried to run Anunoby and Hart out there, both of them were crippled. And you saw Anunoby couldn't run at all. He didn't last 5 minutes in the game. You just should have bet on the Pacers yesterday, no matter what, because the Knicks were not capable of winning with their entire team, in a hospital bed. I mean, they literally couldn't win. How do you win when you have no players? And then people still bet on him. Me, everybody. People still bet on him, and you're just stupid. In fact, the Pacers, I'm not surprised at all that they won. And I'll tell you another thing. The way they score, I think they can beat Boston. And everyone thinks that's over. What are they, minus 1,500? They're plus 800 or something. They're 8-1. How are who's stopping them from scoring? They score a lot. I don't care what the Celtics have.
You even look at some of these games they played this year. Now, they played 5 times this year, and one of those was, of course, the quarterfinals of that in-season tournament. Indiana beat them in that game. And remember, Indiana went to the finals and lost to the Lakers. They beat them in Indy 122-112. They scored against Boston this year. I mean, 124 points, 133, 122, 104. So they've shown they can score on the Celtics. Now, they gave up, too. I mean, they lost the game 155-104 to Boston this year. So they've had some high-scoring games. I know it's the playoffs, but maybe we shade to the over, Scotty, in some of these Celtic-Pacer games that we're going to have coming up in this series.
Without a doubt. I think they have a shot. And all I've heard already is that they have no chance. And they literally have – the sportsbooks have it as no chance. The media has it as no chance. And I guarantee you the Pacers are lapping it up, that they are given no chance at all. Again, they have no chance against the Knicks, and they won. Now they have no chance against the Celtics. I'm not going to be surprised at all if they win the series and go to the NBA Finals. You know why? Because they score so many points. They score consistently $130 a night. That's it. They just score too much for everybody. And that's until I see them get shut down, I just don't believe they're dead at all in this series. I think it's going to be a great series, just like it should be. The Eastern Conference Finals should be great because it ought to be. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's meant for. Yeah. It's not meant for, do you realize that the Nuggets series was 21 points, the average margin of victory? And again, last night it was 8? That was the lowest scoring game they had. Okay, so in the Knicks games, there were 4 blowouts. I don't want to watch blowouts. I want to watch great games. So if Boston and the Pacers can give us great games, that's what I want to see. I don't really care about anything else. I have no feelings. I hate the Celtics, and I'm going to be forced to root for the Pacers based on my disdain for the city of Boston.
I will give you those numbers in a little bit. Do you want this Tibbs here before we close the book on the Knicks? You want Tibbs saying that the Knicks ran out of gas? Here you go.
Yes.
Yeah, we started slow, and they're a good offensive team. We made a run. I thought the end of the second we played pretty good. We got some activity going. Then we made a run in the third, and then we fell short. We just, I thought guys gave everything they had, and that's all you could ask. And so it was a battle all year, and there was nothing left to give at the end.
You got that right.
Nothing left to give. Man, lost in that shuffle. What DiVincenzo have, like 9 or 10 threes in that game, Scotty? Your boy DiVincenzo had a huge game, unfortunately for him.
I hit that over. The Ragu over threes, I hit that.
But like you say, when you lose the game, no one cares.
It doesn't matter.
You have a big night like that, nobody cares. How about this? Home teams in Game 7 of the NBA playoffs used to be dominant. Look at this, Scotty. 05 through 19, 70% the home team won straight up. Last 3 years, 4 and 8 the home team straight up, including 2 of those being yesterday with the Nuggets and the Knicks. You have said this a lot. We've talked about it in basketball and in hockey. Having Game 7 at home, I don't think it means as much as it used to. It just doesn't.
Well, Mike, it's pretty clear to me now that we've said this so many times, is that it doesn't matter where they play a game. What matters is who plays better. Hockey, NBA, it's about who plays better. I think it's way more prevalent in the NHL that there's no such thing as home ice. There's no advantage to playing at home tonight for Vancouver. This is about who plays better in the game, who makes the stops in goal, who scores power play goals, who kills power plays. This is about who plays better. And in both instances yesterday in Game 7s, both road teams played way better than the home teams.
Baseball's the only one where the 7th game has a distinct advantage, and it's not crowd, it's that you get to hit last. Like that you have a distinct advantage having home field in baseball, whereas you don't in the NBA and NHL. The Mavericks, of course, are also on their way to the Western Conference Finals. They beat the Thunder Saturday night, 117-116. Of course, Scotty, there was a very big play at the end of this game, a foul by SGA on P.J. Washington that sent him to the line and won it. Thunder were up the whole night. Mavs charged late. They take the lead and go ahead on ESPN ABC.
Washington got the offensive rebound, and now Doncic driving on Dort, can't pick up the foul. He gives it up. Washington 3 ties the game. P.J. Washington's first basket is a huge one. Retake the lead. Doncic going to work, driving on Dort, ball away. It's good. Doncic gives Dallas a 2-point lead. Timeout, Oklahoma City.
Well, I hit the Doncic triple-double, and Shai Gilgeous did foul Washington. It's that simple. He fouled him. He hacked him on the arm.
Fouled him. In fact, he said it himself. This is him afterwards. Like, what do you want me to do? I fouled them. They got it right.
I shouldn't have fouled him. We talk about it all year, the little things that go into winning games and being disciplined, and it sucks. Obviously, if I had the moment back, I wouldn't have fouled him and just let him make or miss the shot. But yeah, basketball, you win some, you lose some, you make mistakes.
Have you seen the replay?
No, I can't look at it. But they looked at it, and I assume I fouled him if they looked at it and still didn't overturn it.
When you say you can't look at it, what do you mean?
I don't want to look at it.
You think that's permanent? You just don't want to look at it ever, or
I just won't look at it. I found
it
good because they reviewed it. I found it, so there's no need to look at it.
Give him a break.
I'll tell you this. I wore that coat to the bagel store on Sunday morning. Not one chick looked at me. It didn't work.
Yeah, he's had some outstanding outfits throughout this run for the Thunder, that's for sure. Now, remember you had that guy with Kat and Ant asking that question about like tough losses that make you better. I think that maybe that Thunder loss will fall in that category down the line, right? Like the Thunder losing that game, that group's first year in the playoffs, they were a 1 seed. Like that's something that they're going to now burn with for a year, and it's probably going to help them a year from now when they're in the playoffs again. So I can understand it from the Thunder aspect. With a very tough loss. We'll come back. I have one more thing from this game for you, and that is the love affair that is Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, Scotty. They love each other, and I want to show you them after the game on Saturday night, and then I'll give you the numbers for the East and the Western Conference Final in the NBA.
I've never seen Kyrie Irving this happy in his entire career.
with the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's the BetMGM offer of the week. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. For all the games, all season long. Come out swinging with picks and parlays and turn any game into a must-watch. Download the BetMGM app, and it's on.
So you're telling me that everybody's happy in Dallas?
Everybody is extremely happy in Dallas as they go to the Western Conference Final. Of course, Luka's now been there 2 of the last 3 years. I didn't know this till I was reminded of it yesterday, Scotty, that Kyrie Irving is now 14-0 in closeout games in his NBA career. How about that? That is a staggering number.
Crazy.
Here's Luka and Kyrie after the game on Saturday night. They love being teammates in Big D.
Big time, man. When he came, nothing but supportive of everything I did, everything we did. But just it helped me mature a lot. I realized to see the game in a different way. And obviously in the court, it's amazing to play with a guy like him. Like I said, just go out there, enjoy. And the leader he's been for us, not just for me, but for us, he's been amazing. Always positive energy.
I think the big word that we both can agree on is just maturity. Coming into Dallas, I was dealing with a lot mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and they embraced me with open arms. You know, I don't have a perfect journey, so coming into this environment, I was unsure how we were going to work out on the court, but off the court, I knew eventually that I would get him to open up. This guy's a big teddy bear at times off the court, big competitor. Okay, I'll say a teddy bear that likes to compete. You know, he's still ducking me in dominoes, but...
Oh, ducking him in dominoes.
Boy,
look, I think his actions with refs are a concern for the franchise. Obviously, Cuban kid, everyone has to watch this guy melt down. He got teched up in that game. He never stops. So I don't agree that he's mature at all as a basketball player. I think he's just a great basketball player that hates refs. And I hate refs. So... there's a story today, I believe, in The Athletic about Scott Foster and how much people hate him. I mean, this guy's got more people that hate him in I think, of anyone in the NBA. Like, not players, coaches, owners, GMs. I think the most hated guy in the league is Scott Foster. And meanwhile, the league considers him the best ref in the league. And the players consider him the worst ref in the league. So you see the differential between the sides. I think Kyrie Irving's done nothing to help Luka Doncic's maturity or behavior on a basketball court. I think he's an idiot.
Then there were only 4 left in the NBA, Scotty. There you go. You have the Celtics and the Pacers, the Mavs and the Timberwolves, the entire NBA playoff tree right there in front of you. You mentioned the Celtic number before. It is minus 900 for the series. The Pacers are plus 600 for the series. Game 1 is tomorrow night. Celtics are 9.5-point favorites at home.
Well, I thought yesterday it was 1,500 and like 780.
It's been bet down.
It's been bet down immediately, and I think that's because of what the Pacers do offensively. And the fact that they won and beat the Knicks, and here they are. And that's a lot of points to give a team that scores as much as they do. I think that I like those points and the over.
As far as the Western Conference goes, the Timberwolves and the Mavericks, minus 185 for Minnesota as the series favorite. The Mavericks are plus $1.45. They will play Game 1 on Wednesday night in Minneapolis, where the Timberwolves are 4.5-point favorites in Game 1.
Well, they were dogs this morning.
Yep.
So Minnesota was an underdog this morning, and by showtime, they're favored. So the money has swung Minnesota's way, and I think it's because, well, look, both teams are really good. I'm not going to sit here and say Minnesota's better than them. I can't prove it. You know what I mean? I just can't prove it. I think they are, but I can't say why, other than I could give you a lot of BS of why I think they're better. But both of these teams are good. I'm not denying Luka and Kyrie and Washington and Gafford and that team. And if they had, whatever his name is, Kleber, they're even better. He got injured, tore his shoulder, so he was their best three-point shooter, or one of them. I mean, he definitely can hit from deep. So losing him hurt them in some capacity, but they obviously won without him. I think Minnesota, for my money, is deeper than Dallas. I like their depth and who they can put in a game. And I'll tell you another thing I like is that I know Luka's unstoppable. Mike Conley's a problem. He's a problem for, just as much as T.J. McConnell's a problem. T.J. McConnell became a big problem for the Knicks.
Yeah, I think that Minnesota's the better team, Scotty, top to bottom. I think that for Dallas to win, they're going to have to get a Herculean effort from Luka and Kyrie in this series, and more than they had in the Thunder series. They need to score a lot more against this Minnesota team if they're going to get it done. Celtics are your favorite with 4 left, minus 150 to win the whole thing. Then the T-Wolves, then the Mavericks. Pacers 30-1 to win the title with only 4 teams left.
I mean, why not just put a hundo on the Pacers?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think they really have any. I don't think they're gonna win the series. But at that price, I might just throw a $20 bill down on them to win 6, just in case they end up winning.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you at those numbers? Like, I'm talking about putting down a hundo or a dime on them. Because
I'm willing to do that. So
you know what? I hate Boston enough. Why the F not that the Pacers can beat them? I would love nothing more than to see them upset Boston. And they beat the Knicks and they beat the Celtics to go to the final. Then what are people going to say? They didn't deserve to be there?
Yeah, that's what they'll say then. Didn't deserve to be there. All right, we'll come back and start to get into a Game 7 tonight in hockey. Game 7.
fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, Mike, the Caitlin Clark effect is in full swing. How about the money they made in Brooklyn when she showed up in town?
Yeah, I had to at least give you this. Of course, they played the Liberty at the Barclays Center over the weekend. WNBA record, $2 million in ticket revenue from that Caitlin Clark appearance against the Liberty. Of course, the Fever haven't won a game yet, Scotty. They have been shut out so far, but you got to remember, they weren't any good before they got Clark, and it's going to take her some time to get going. And then the other story in the WNBA, they're investigating the Vegas Aces players' $100,000 sponsorship with the Las Vegas Tourism Authority. What's the problem here, Scotty? We can't be involved with the Vegas Tourist Authority. The women can't make some money either on the side. What's the deal?
So they're paying each player. Every player gets $100,000 for 2 years. So $200,000 and $100,000 per year. Each player gets for the sponsorship of Vegas Tourism, and the league has a problem with that. This is the same league that wouldn't charter them flights. That made them play in high school gyms. Let's just face facts. The women that run this league have run it terribly until they started getting superstar players. The players are what make this league go, not the suits, not the front office, not the commissioner, not the president. None of these people think they're so important. The reality is this girl in 3 days, she's played 3 games. In 3 days, she has made them more money than they've ever made in their entire existence. In 1 day, she broke the revenue record for ticket sales. The commissioner and all of her minions need to shut the F up and let them have their sponsorship money. Who gives a rat's ass if somebody gives them $100,000 each? Who cares? They should be so lucky that corporations are willing to spend money on the league. Instead, they want to shoo the money away. I mean, you have to start asking questions. Is the commissioner actually stupid? Is she stupid? Because I'm starting to think she is stupid. Now, she comes out with her nice dress on and says, the number 1 pick in the draft. Oh, we're so excited about the league, yet what we're going to do is we're going to handcuff everyone and not let them make money. How stupid are you to think this way or to run your league this way? And let me tell you something. I don't even know her name, and I still don't like her. I don't care who she is. You're an idiot if you don't let them make money. I mean, honestly, like, are we not in the professional sports business here? And what is the business at hand? It's not even winning. It's making money. These leagues are about making money. Ask NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell what his job is, or Gary Bettman, or baseball, or Silver. It doesn't matter. It's to make money for the owners. Like, what are they doing? Like, we're not going to let these girls have their money because, we're going to strangle these women. We're going to hold them back. We're going to put them all back in the kitchen. Let's all have babies. Honestly, it's embarrassing.
It certainly is. The Fever are home tonight, by the way. Clark scored 22 in that game over the weekend. They're playing the Connecticut Sun, who worked them over that opening night.
They play the Suns and Liberty every night, for Christ's sakes. Can they play somebody else?
We got to open up the schedule a little bit there. Oh, wow, look at that. Sun versus Fever. And I heard a rumor that Waldo's at the game tonight, too. That's why he's not with us today. He's going to the Fever game to see Caitlin Clark tonight. So she's good for probably 25 or 30 then tonight.
I'm sure she'll want to spend some quality time with Waldo after the game.
Some quality time indeed. We are going to talk about this Oiler-Canuck Game 7 after you talk to Coach Davis. Let me at least tell you how they got to Game 7 quickly before we go to break. Of course, Saturday night, a 5-1 win for the Oilers. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins making it 4-1, another sweet pass from Connor McDavid on Sportsnet.
Let's go! Last change at home. They don't have to be as preoccupied with it. Here's McDavid again. Scores! Nugent-Hopkins!
I mean, I hate to say it, but it's for me, they're just better. They're a better team.
I agree. They are a better team. I think the one thing I'd be worried about tonight for Edmonton is, as always, the goaltender. Him giving up a couple of bad goals. I think that's the thing that can get in their way tonight. If he plays well, equal playing, they're more dangerous and they should score more, Scotty. They just should.
They score more, and I want to know who's going to score for Vancouver.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Pendrith ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament, also seeking his first PGA Tour victory. He went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What's your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bats.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
The Knicks losing, it's bad enough. It's so bad that they're having me do hockey commercials with the basketball coach. Check out the new betting market for the NHL playoffs that coach doesn't watch, that you can only get with BetMGM. They have empty net goal markets for entire slates as well as specific games. Find them in the app under the NHL tab and then the props tab. You can also find specific game markets under each game, along with the NHL props tab. You're going to love it. The Stanley Cup playoffs and BetMGM, their mobile app on iOS or Android. Go to BetMGM.com. You're going to love it. Trust me, you won't look back. Coach James Young joins us to talk about the fallout. And, you are just something else. You are so much nicer than me. You with all your half glass full. Oh, look at the cars they drive. What a season. They gave it all they had. They gave us everything. Jeepers, what an effort. And with all those injuries, you knew that they had one arm tied behind their back. I don't want to hear it. You and all your happiness and niceness. How about you? I know you like the back of my hand. Here's you. Phone turned off. He wouldn't even take my call last night during a game. I'm drinking rum, and this guy's in hiding, your boy Coach Young. And now today he's found God, and he's like, they gave it all they had, boys. Yippee.
Oh,
not me. Not me. I need a straight. I need a 9 Glock in my mouth.
Listen, I was pissed off like every other Knick fan with their performance and their defense or lack thereof. But when you sit there and look at it, Ferrall, when a team shoots 63.4% from the floor, you're not going to win.
You lose.
Ferrall, OG could have been healthy. They could have had Josh Hart healthy. They could have had Randall. They could have had Mitch. They could have pulled Ewing, John Starks, and Latrell Sprewell out of the stands. If a team shoots 64% from the floor for the game, you're not winning. So sometimes as a coach, you got to say, good for you. And you move on. Now, the issue that the Knicks have is the injuries piled up.
Move on. Another year of losing.
Yeah, another year of losing. But you know what? For the first time in a long time, I think the Knicks are actually set up for some kind of success. Their core is young. They have their draft picks. They have movable assets. They have a couple of big decisions to make. Number one, they gave up Quickly and Barrett for OG. They got to re-sign OG. That's going to probably be about a $35 to $40 million deal. And listen, folks, did you see what happened? They lost that series when OG got hurt. So to me, he is so important. But I think the other part is our boy, white boy Rick.
You got to sign him.
2-year. You got to re-sign him. The problem is, Ferrall, you can only sign him for 175% of what he made this past year. He made $8 million, I think. So I think he's probably in about the $13, $14 million range. Some team may blow the boat out and give him $20 million to white boy Rick. They need him. And then the biggest caveat has already been talked about here is the most attractive contract the Knicks have is Julius Randle's. Do they take Randle and move him? Because I think the Knicks are at a point where with OG, if they resign him, they could play him at the 3 or the 4. Also, watch out for Brunson. He can sign an extension this offseason. Don't be surprised, folks, if he punts and waits, which then gets the Knicks more leverage to sign or make trades and then do the extension later when it will cost the Knicks less money and they can go ahead and get who they have to get.
I said that Hartenstein is irreplaceable because of his he shows up every night. He's never injured. He bangs with injuries. He plays with them. He just keeps playing, keeps rebounding, keeps blocking shots, keeps hitting floaters, keeps getting rebounds. He's irreplaceable for me. Mitchell Robinson's fat, slow, and frankly dumb. I think he plays dumb. And then I think Anunoby's always injured. He was never injured in college at Indiana, but he's injured in the pros like a mofo. And then Randall I just don't see them giving up Randall. For some reason, it's like he's like their Henrik Lundqvist of the Rangers. Like I think Dolan and the Knicks and Tibbs and everyone in that front office likes Randall around New York.
Oh, they do. They absolutely love him. And he was kind of the first guy that came here. Well, so was Amari Stoudemire. And what did we do to him? Hung on for him too long. And I think when you look at Randall, his game really is good. It does help. And a lot of open threes come from Brunson. The question is this. If you're going to upgrade the roster, right, you can't get anything from Mitchell Robinson because he can't stay healthy, right? You've already traded Barrett. You've already traded Quickly. You've already traded Grimes. You're not going to trade Josh Hart. You're not going to trade Brunson. You're not going to trade DiVincenzo. I mean, do you trade Deuce? They're not going to give you much. Maybe Bogdanovich, because he's going to be a free agent in a year. Maybe he gets you something. But if you want to go get the next guy, and I think if you look at the Knicks, they need another shot creator at the 2/3. I think they like DiVincenzo at the 2. So they either go 3-guard lineup and you start looking at a 3 that can shoot the ball and create. 2 people look out for. Won't happen, probably either one. Paul George, Mikal Bridges. Bridges will walk to MSG to leave those jokers and go play with his Villanova brothers. And then obviously Paul George is someone that can create his own shot. Now, if you're the Knicks, you can't just rest on your laurels and say, we're bringing the whole team back. You got to make upgrades because Boston isn't going anywhere. Philadelphia's going to make a move. They're going to be better. Milwaukee's going to be better next year. Indiana's young.
Stop with Philadelphia and Milwaukee. Here we go again. We're going to talk about the Sixers going to the finals for another 9 months, and they never go anywhere. They never win. They never do anything. Let's talk about reality. I'm done with all this nonsense. The Bucks and Sixers. You know what? I'd rather have diarrhea than talk about those 2 crappy teams. Honestly, overrated. They get so much publicity and airtime for no reason whatsoever. The Sixers, 1983. Don't get me started. And if they didn't have Giannis, they would have never won the one that they won. Budenholzer thinks he won a ring. My ass. All right. Give me your lion's share plays. It looks to me like you're rolling in this Pacers-Celtics series.
Yeah, I wanted to look at future odds, folks, with the series tipping off soon. So the first thing I'm going to go with the Celtics to be up 2-1 after 3 games at +110. Why, Ferrall? Every year, every series, they lay an egg. They will lay an egg. And I think if there's a game for Indiana to get, it may be game 1 when maybe they catch Boston on their heels. Either way, 2-1, Boston's up. They win it in 5 games. But the best way for me to get it, 2-1, up +110.
So the next one, you're telling me that you think they have to win the series 4-1.
Yeah, I think they need to win the series 4-1. And I think that's where I'm looking at it is they will win the series 4-1. So what I'll do is, if you want to play it a different way, I'm going to just take them -2.5 games that they close it out in 5 or less. I think Boston is that good. Listen, Indiana just played, obviously Milwaukee without Giannis most of the series, and the Knicks with a mesh unit. They're playing Boston. This is different. And Boston has the defense and the offense and the depth to give them problems. I think they close it out in 5 games or less.
Yeah, I don't. And then your threes, you're going with who?
I'm going with Derek White at +175. The reason being is I think when you look at the series, if you look at what DiVincenzo was able to do to get off shots, you have Drew Holiday can create. They're going to be worried about Brown. They're going to be worried about Tatum. Who gets left open? Who can pull it? Derek White +175 to lead the series in 3-pointers made.
So tomorrow we'll get Coach talking about Minnesota and Dallas. And then tomorrow we got game 1 of that Pacers and Celtics at the Garden in Beantown. So that's going to be exciting. Coach, we'll talk about it all then. Enjoy yourself. You don't have to watch any Game 7s tonight. And I was ready to jump off a bridge after yesterday. And not only the Knicks, but the Nuggets let me down too. Unbelievable.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What's your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bets.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Davis Maddock is on Fantasy Sports Today on Saturdays. He's on Coast to Coast every day. He's on a lot of shows, Game Time Decisions, In-Game Live, Early Line. He's on everything. He's all over SportsGrid. You can follow him on X at Davis Maddock, Mattek. Davis, I have to start with this. David Fletcher, former Angels player, gambled with an illegal bookie as well. Does baseball have a gambling problem? What are we going to have, one of these every month now?
I mean, Scotty, when I read this story, you were the first person that I thought of, because you, the whole time they were doing the investigation with Ohtani's translator and Ohtani, you were like, I don't know, something doesn't smell right. So now we have the information that Fletcher, one of Ohtani's best friends in baseball, was betting with the same illegal bookmaker that Ohtani's translator was. I guess one thing that I would be unclear about is, we don't know how much English, Ohtani speaks. So what does it mean? What does it mean for one of his best friends to be an American, obviously, who only speaks English? That is a little bit unclear to me. Does baseball have a betting problem? I would hesitate. I would hesitate to say that. I mean, I don't know if there's any evidence that Fletcher's stuff was widespread. For example, I thought the Jonte Porter stuff was darker than this, because that seems like a more insidious problem, because there are a lot more, two-way guys and stuff in the NBA who could make money off of, the Jonte Porter style thing.
So did you watch this guy Jimenez today meltdown for the Braves in the first game of that doubleheader? They were up 5-0 and then 5-1 in the 8th, and he gives up 5 runs, and they just let him implode because they were playing 2 and they weren't going to the pen, and they're like, you got yourself into this mess, get yourself out of it. And they're just one guy after the next. Cronenworth, a single on a full count pitch, bases loaded, 2 runs. Next guy up, Machado, boom, rakes a double, 2 more runs, and the Padres stole that game. I thought Jimenez was disgusting. He was so awful. His stuff was so awful. He was all over the place, high, low, inside, outside. He couldn't hit the plate. And then when he did, he threw meatballs. Every guy that threw out, the outs that he got were all at the warning track or the wall.
I mean, it's a little bit early in the season, I feel like, to just let a guy go out there and die, just because you're playing too. Like, right, it's May 20th. I mean, look, I get it. I get it if we're in the dog days of the summer, you got a couple starting pitcher injuries, whatever it might be. It's a little bit odd, especially when you're a team as good as the Royals, as the Braves, 26-17 against the Padres, who are, I think I've decided, the worst good team ever, as opposed to the best bad team ever. And I mean, you put yourself in a great spot to win against Dylan Cease, a guy who had been, one of the best pitchers in the National League. He got absolutely beat up. 90 pitches, only 57 strikes, 5 earned runs for Dylan Cease today. You actually got a good start out of Reynaldo Lopez. And I mean, look, and you get to call guys up in the doubleheader anyways. You get to have an extra guy in the bullpen anyway. I don't know. Very, very strange to let a guy give up 4 earned runs in 26 pitches. Not ideal there.
And how about Xander Bogaerts? He got injured in that game in the 3rd inning for San Diego. He injured his shoulder.
Yeah, he did, and that is not a position that you want to be missing for them, because I suppose that means our boy Donovan Solano is going to return to everyday at-bats versus lefties and righties if Bogaerts has to miss a ton of time. I mean, I suppose Tyler Wade can chip in a little bit there. You definitely don't want either of those guys playing every single day. The Padres, just a weird team I can't ever quite figure out.
I see Eflin got put on the IL. He's got back problems. Here we go. Guys getting injured. We're not even at Memorial Day, and guys are going down left and right.
I mean, yeah, but at least, so we do have guys going down left and right, but at least it's not Tommy John, right? At least, so now we're at the stage of the season where when the starting pitchers get injured, we can at least expect to have them return to the rotations to play with their teams at some point. When all those guys were getting injured the first month of the season, it was like, all right, anyone who throws a slider over 95 miles an hour, you're getting injured, you're getting Tommy John, we're not going to see you till next year.
You and I have talked a lot about Ohtani. There's stories today that they may never let him pitch again because he's so great as a hitter.
I mean, that was kind of what I thought might happen. I kind of thought you have this injury, you keep getting injured. All the injuries he suffered, to my knowledge, have more impacted his pitching than his hitting. I mean, he got injured last year and just stopped pitching and then went to the hitting. He's worth that contract just as a hitter, which is insane, honestly.
All right, let's take a look at your plays for tonight. And it starts with, I think, the Orioles-Cardinal game. And I think that's at Busch. And I think it involves Sonny Gray.
It does. We're taking the over here. Sonny Gray's given up 11 earned runs in his last 2 starts, 4 home runs. It's kind of always been Sonny Gray's deal. He pitches good, he pitches good, he pitches good. Then he has a blow-up start. He was awesome. Last year actually led all of baseball in fielding independent pitching, but he's struggling with the long ball. It's about 100 degrees. It's so hot already here in St. Louis. And I think Dean Kramer is going to head back a little bit more towards the average as well. So over 8 runs here in St. Louis.
Well, if it's hot in St. Louis, it's hot in Kansas City, and you're going with the Royals-Tiger game tonight. What do you got there?
I am. I think we are seeing some disrespect here to one Mr. Michael Wacha, who's been one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball over the last 3 seasons with the Red Sox, with the Padres, with the Royals. He had one absolutely brutal start against the Rangers, but has been really strong other than that. Actually, yeah, I mean, he's been quite good. And I'm not that big of a Reese Olson fan. I think the Tigers have been a little bit overrated thus far this season. So we're taking the slight home underdog Royals tonight.
And what are you doing in the WNBA?
All right, we got Caitlin Clark and the Fever as a home dog here against the Connecticut Sun. They've been brutal, man. I'm not going to lie. They have been brutal, but I'm taking them as the home dog tonight. They get off the schneid, first win tonight.
Look at you, plus 220. That'd be a fat ticket to cash. Let's hope Caitlin Clark looks as good as she did over the weekend at the Barclays. She lit it up there. Thanks, Davis.
fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Huge game tonight for the Long Island Ducks, Carver High's undefeated softball team. The girls, along with their captain, Ray Lewis, still undefeated on the season, going for a championship ring.
Yes, stress levels very high around here with that. Very high stress level as the Ducks get ready to play the Tar Heels tonight, Scotty. So everybody is on edge for that game. Nobody likes the Tar Heels or that powder blue that they wear. Nobody likes that whatsoever. So that's where we're at. How about a Game 7 tonight? We mentioned that we have it in Vancouver. 3-3, the winner will face the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Final on the NHL side. Let's start with Vancouver head coach Rick Tocchet, the mindset for his Canucks heading into tonight.
Confidence. It's all about confidence. Believe in what you're doing as an individual and as a team. And then plan. You know, I think when you get out there, you want to be a difference maker, and you want the puck. I feel that when we're at our best, Game 5 is everybody wanted something, like whether it to be a support guy or whether it be the guy backing somebody. You could tell, and I think we got to get to that attitude, especially in Game 7. But you can't play. You know, there's the word desperation. Everybody uses it. Game 7. Desperation is just not running around and panicking. Desperation is there's certain spots you got to be in. There's some plays that you got to make under desperation. There's plays that you got to have to get the puck out. That's desperation to me. So that's kind of the message.
Yeah, you got to win. Is really the message. Is you got to win. All this other stuff, I don't know what that really is. Seriously, you got to go out and knock somebody's head off, and you got to win. And you gotta forecheck and pound people into the wall, and you got to attack the crease, and you got to shoot the puck. Whoever shoots the puck tonight on net the most and hits people the most will win the game. That'll be that.
That's what it comes.
None of this other nonsense. Who's gonna pound it into the crease and score goals? The team that scores more goals wins.
Yeah, and listen, and I go back to this a lot in games like this, and I mentioned this point to you before. Whose goalie's going to make more key saves, especially when you have, not exactly Brodeur versus Waugh here tonight in this Edmonton-Vancouver game. So You got this kid, Slivos, who's been in there. You've got Skinner. Which one of them is actually going to make big saves in the third period or overtime of this game tonight? And that's going to be the key to sending them forward. Connor McDavid, as always, Scotty, very excited for game number 7 tonight for the Edmonton Oilers.
You know, nothing to be satisfied or excited about. I mean, it's like you said, we just bought ourselves another day, and I would expect the same level of urgency and desperation from our group. I would expect Vancouver to play a better game as well, and I would expect it to be a highly competitive, great Game 7.
Jeez.
Wow, you really are something,
stale
kid.
bread.
Honestly, here's the deal: they have superior players and superior goal scoring talent. They have 4 or 5 guys: Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Kane, Draisaitl, and McDavid. Just to name a few, those 5 right there are better than anyone that Vancouver has. Because Eriksson has been, is that his name? He's been worthless in the entire Stanley Cup playoff season. Patterson. He's done nothing. And then Besser's got blood clots, whatever that means. Like, when I hear blood clots, that doesn't sound good. Like, that's like people get blood clots, they start dying. All I know is that he's not playing, and he's the only guy who scores goals. So you got 5 guys that score goals. And what happened the other night? 5-1. They just are more dangerous. So I wanted Vancouver the whole series, and everyone knows that. But I'm not stupid. I hope Vancouver wins, but I don't think they will. I think Edmonton's got all the guys that are the weapon guys. They have weapons.
They got weapons, and that's why they're minus $1.60 tonight on the road, because they have the big guns. These are the games, Scotty, that Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Evander Kane and all these guys, these are the games that they get paid the big bucks for right here to get Edmonton through into the Western Conference Finals. I actually have, since we have no NBA game tonight, how about player props for the Game 7 in the NHL tonight? I got those for you. How about that?
Are you kidding?
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That was Aaron Rodgers' thing. To your quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
It's a luxury pick. We don't have the luxury. We're trying to win right now. I'm in a window right now, and you're going to say, no, we're going to plan this for the future. With a guy who had 4 years, 4 seasons ended by injury. 4. Like, Michael Penix is a walking injury. Like, what are you doing taking him in the top 10?
The Bostonian versus the Book.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
this
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.